Welcome to Pac-12 Tip-Off Tuesday, presented by Gatorade. We're on campus in Tucson. Tonight in McKale Center, the Tommy Lloyd era gets underway. Arizona taking on Northern Arizona from the Big Sky Conference. Hi, everybody. I'm Brian Weber. Pleased to be joined by Matt Muehlbach. It is great to have you with us. And, Matt, we know undeniably opening night is always special, but it's even more dynamic tonight as Tommy Lloyd makes his coaching debut after 20 years as a Gonzaga assistant. Here in Tucson, he wants to play fast with fundamentals.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night. We got fans in the stands, Brian, but Tommy Lloyd has been amazing. I love what he does, X's and O's. I think the fans here are going to love that. But more importantly, I think they're going to love Tommy Lloyd and the personality, the toughness, the genuineness, what he brings to the table. He's a relationship guy, and I think he's hitting all the right notes for this Arizona team.
Well, in this age of player mobility, Arizona losing 4 of their top 6 scorers from last year, but still plenty of talent on the roster, paced by Ben Mathurin.
Yeah, you're watching a guy here just blossom, this super sophomore, and, you know, he's so explosive, but he has skill. He can go from deep. He can shoot with anybody. I think they're looking for him to be consistent, but, man, when you watch him get to the rim, Brian, it is awesome. The athleticism, and he just gets after it. And then he's got a buddy down low. He's got the two-man punch right there, Shoeless Tubelis, another super soft that was an all-freshman last year. I love his strength. I love his gamer. He is an absolute gamer, and he's going to bring it every night.
Arizona dominating the series, winning the last 34 matchup, trying to secure a convincing win for Tommy Lloyd in Game 1 on this Pac-12 Tip-Off Tuesday, presented by Gatorade. Back in Tucson for Game 2 of the doubleheader here at McKale. The Arizona women, fresh off their trip to the national title game last year, pounding Cal State Northridge by 43. Look at the lineups for the Lumberjacks. Jalen Cone should be an impactful transfer in the backcourt from Virginia Tech. Nick Maines, the older brother of Arizona's Jordan Maines, former student manager who's a reserve now. We're going to detail family ties coming up for the Cats. With James Akinjo transferring, Arizona does not have a single go-to scorer. Kerr Kriisa will run the point after his time at 2 guard last year for Tommy Lloyd. His first head coaching opportunity at any level. And there's Shane Burkhardt, who spent a lifetime in our sport, specifically here in the state of Arizona. Highly accredited high school coach, now in his 3rd year in Flagstaff, making the trek of roughly 240 miles over to Tucson. You see the head-to-head, but if you're an NAU fan, all you need to think about is football.
Oh, come on,
We're not
Brian.
talking
Early
about
on,
that.
you went after
I
it.
am calling it down the middle.
This is payback. This is payback,
Mr. Wildcat, get you in your Willie outfit, and just that quickly, high percentage look for the player that we hit on. Mathurin couldn't finalize.
Well, that was they don't run a lot of set plays. It looked like a set play out of the jump ball. It was Mathurin to cut to the block there off the screen. Great execution, just didn't convert.
Well, the goal this year is to play up-tempo basketball. And a year ago, Kriisa did not make a single 2. The trend continues, burying the 3.
Well, how great is that off of a 1-for-8 performance in the exhibition game? Just unbelievable confidence, drains it.
NAU with a variety of issues to overcome in this matchup, in addition to losing their top 2 scorers to the transfer portal. Another look at how this season opens for the Cats.
Well, that's a stagger screen coming out of the out of bounds. 2 great screens. Kriisa really runs it well, goes right off their shoulder, and then in rhythm knocks it in.
Sophomore from Estonia. Remember, it took him a while to get cleared. Didn't get onto the floor until February. Was forced to play the off-guard position for the first time in his career. Much more comfortable going back to the 1. And time is not a factor at all on the second trip for Arizona. Shot clock only dipped below 14. Hustling for another look. Kerr gonna reset. Touch for Dale Terry, who could have a breakout season in this new up-tempo offense. Mathurin on his way to the NBA, maybe as soon as next year with that pro move down the lane.
Yeah, we saw him the other night, so explosive, an electric player. You know, and Brian, there are guys in the Pac-12 I would pay to see. This is one of them.
We know he's got a remarkable outside touch, off the mark there, but last year number 6 in the Pac-12 at 42% from distance, and we see the Cats extending defensively.
Yeah, this is interesting. I think they're going to have heavy ball pressure this year. They'll get out on the wings, and with that shot blocker, Christian Koloko in the back, they can gamble a little bit this year.
Nick Maines had a touch. We mentioned the family dynamic. We'll give you all of the particulars with mom and dad here and a host of relatives as well. But speaking with Shane Burcar, who is a charismatic coach who maximizes what his players have to offer, he realizes the personnel challenges tonight, as was the case a year ago in that game you called when it was all Arizona.
Yeah, we'll talk more about him, but you're right, Diamond. He's just a very interesting guy, awesome coach, tough, hard-nosed guy. I love his attitude.
Kirk couldn't get it. Terry swooped in to keep it alive. And now a chance for the Lumberjacks to get on the board after a couple empty possessions. Last year, just 6 wins. And there's the defense of Koloko, one of the best shot blockers in all of college basketball per minute. And the early whistle comes. Our crew tonight, Mike Reed, Mark Beasley, and Ryan McDaniel.
Well, that's what I was talking about, Brian. You can let guys go. Koloko almost looked like he baited him a little bit right there. Wanted him to go up. Incredible timing. And then Arizona on the run. And, you know, last year, Brian, it was interesting. NAU got down 15-0 to this Arizona team. So Shane Burcar really interested in the first 4 minutes of this one.
Isaiah Lewis has a personal foul. His teammates looking to get on the board, and that's going to be the offensive lifeline this year for the Lumberjacks. Jalen Cone, a big-time scorer at Virginia Tech a couple of years ago. He led the ACC at 46% from three-point range. Three-point chance traditionally. And that's exactly what Tubelis is looking to achieve as Tout picked up the personnel.
Well, Tubelis got great position on this one, all the way down in the lane, and just so hard to stop him because he's so big, he's so strong. And on the other end, you mentioned it, you know, I think NAU's going to have to shoot it well. And we saw that 3 go in. That's a good sign for them early just to get some points up on the board.
Tubelis, preseason Pac-12 second team. Last year, 69% from the line. Leading returning scorer at 12 points and 7 rebounds. Just underway, and based on the tale of the tape historically, with Arizona in total control, and what happened a year ago with that obliteration, NAU has to feel good early on, and they're valuing this possession. We mentioned there is not a three-point shot that Cone doesn't feel he's capable of hitting in transition. The ball movement finds Tubelis, and he has upped his scoring early on with a couple buckets.
Well, I'm not sure. That was a quick shot right there. Cone can shoot it with anybody in the country, but maybe a little too early. And if he's going to miss those, the problem is Arizona gets going on transition. So premium tonight is for NAU to get back in transition against this electric Arizona team right there.
Keith Hansen was in a world of hurt. It was a 2-on-1 situation. That was going down either way for Terry. The sophomore from Phoenix averaged 5 points in 21 minutes last year.
Well, and I think you see Shane Burcar right now. He's going to slow it down. Didn't call a timeout on that one. Try to get to the under 16. Get his team in the huddle with maybe 2 buckets here. Going off the screen and roll.
Maines, a very skilled post player. And you get the feeling that Cone has a sense he's got to really take charge here on a young roster. Unselfish play, kept it moving, and hooked up with Carson Tout, the redshirt freshman from Gilbert, who scored 6 points again last year.
Well, Cone is such a great shooter. That threat made Arizona come out on him, and then it looked like he was going to shoot. It was like a half pump fake. That enabled the other offensive player to get open, and a great look.
Terry, the kick out. Mathurin faces up, and the rebound off to Maines. And Cone, this time more methodical. You saw him take a look at Shane Burcar, who won 277 games at Mesa High and a state title in 2016. And this feels like the right play to NAU's advantage to work clock, value each possession. And the 3 not there for Maines.
Nobody wanted to shoot that from NAU. Koloko down low is really a deterrent.
Tubelis gives it up.
well. Tommy Lloyd loves having big men run the floor, and when the first guy doesn't get it, he also loves the trailer. The trailer can find the first guy down by the rim. Tubelis to Koloko, great teamwork.
Going to talk a lot about Koloko's development and all the time he spent maturing in the offseason because of the COVID restrictions in his native California. Last year was not the best year for a player who has a lot of upside. That is a nifty move all the way down the lane. Tout has earned himself a trip to the line. Well, 11-5 the score early on, but momentum's been going back and forth.
Yeah, Koloko loves to run the floor. He's got the size. This is the payoff for a couple great defensive plays. Knock it down, big man.
The official apparel and comfort brand of the Pac-12 Conference. Look for Jockey's Made in America collection at jockey.com. And by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. What's your beef? Martin Scorsese would be proud of that shot. That felt like Goodfellas. We were going through the kitchen. Arizona, a 5 of 10 start from the floor, and plenty of new faces, specifically Aiken and Kyer with loads of experience.
Loads. I mean, you're talking about like 11, 12 years of college basketball. And then Oumar Ballo, I really like this guy. I think he can play, maybe in some short minutes. And Pelle Larsson, this is a guy, maybe the secret weapon for Arizona. I think people have forgotten about him. Came from Utah. He got hurt when he came into Arizona, and now he's out here playing. He's healthy. I don't think he's going to be on a minutes restriction tonight, but I love the way he plays, which is unselfish. He really, the ball never sticks with him, and he can flat knock it down from three.
Well, we asked that question too, Tommy Lloyd, and shoot around, and he said it'd be more feel and intuition. The coaching staff will track the minutes, of course, when it comes to analytics, but if you follow the Pac-12, and you do, because you're watching Pac-12 Network, you know what Larsson did at Utah. The speed, 47% from three-point range, third best in the conference. He said he was feeling foot pain towards the end of last year in Salt Lake City, and then had the X-ray performed while he was working out with the Swedish national team. They detected the fracture, and now he's working his way back into basketball shape.
And I think that's a good point, working his way back. I think just some of the rhythm and the little things, not there yet. It may take him a couple games, but great to see him out here if you're an Arizona fan.
So a new look 5 here for Arizona. We will go through all of the particulars one by one as Tubelis can't knock it down. That's certainly within his range of skills. An NAU team that said goodbye to their 2 leading scorers as there's a foul way off the ball. We're going the other way. Cameron Shelton, who averaged 19 points a game, went to LMU, and Luke Abdalovich, 11 points a game, transferred to UOP Cone, picks up the foul.
Yeah, interesting. Coach Burkhardt talked about those 2 guys that left, said, hey, I have no hard feelings. This is the area we live in, transfer portal. He texts them all the time, says, wish you guys the best. But I think this NAU team, sometimes you lose great players. Other guys, obviously, the old cliche, step up. I like what they're going to do from about 10 players deep on this team.
Smooth move by Tubelis, and he has been the catalyst early on. 6 points, halfway to his average of a year ago.
I think that's, Brian, where Arizona coaches want to see him early. Really dominate the paint inside. When he can do that, and by the way, you look at this lineup right there. This is what we're going to see a lot this year. Tubelis at the 5, and you put 4 guards and wings. I don't even know, just wing great players. This is going to be a really interesting lineup to see how they move.
Maines aggressively down the line, and he is going to get his way to the stripe as he was tangled up with a variety of players there. We'll take another look.
There, Aiken, great spin.
Yeah, Tubelis
right there.
Got him.
I'm interested to see Maines play. You talked about his brother being on the Arizona team. There's Tubelis. May go out, and they may bring Ballo in now to be the other 5.
Well, we need more time to get into the family particulars of the Maines. Nick, 3 years older than Jordan. Both shined at Pinnacle High School in Scottsdale. A reminder, McHale is home to the greatest fans in college basketball. Arizona basketball season tickets, mini plans, single game tickets on sale now. Bear down and pick your perfect plan at ArizonaWildcats.com/NBK.
Now, Brian, this is kind of the small big lineup for Arizona, although they don't get the rebound off of a free throw. That's not a good start. But you got Ballo, who's gigantic in the middle, and then a bunch of wing guards playing the rest of the perimeter for them. So should be really interesting.
And it felt like Arizona should have been able to flex their muscle defensively there. Instead, the bucket for Ezekiel Richards, another transfer for NAU after playing 3 seasons in the West Coast Conference for Santa Clara, and Herb Sendek, former Arizona State head coach.
Well, NAU play a little zone here. Be interested to see with the 4 guards. This should line up perfectly for Arizona. Let's see how they do on the rebounding. Last possession, they gave up an offensive board.
Mather in deep 3 early in the shot clock, and now NAU content to be much more methodical. Pick to finish 9th in the 11-team Big Sky. Cone can't hit it. Here's Kyer, one of those transfers we talked about, who has logged so many minutes prior to coming to Tucson. Larson was looking for contact, no whistle. And the dribbling exhibition leads to the foul by Mason Stark. This one remains highly competitive as Arizona on top by 3 at the outset.
I had a contract to be the next head coach there. You know, life was good. And I never really got into playing the job hunting game or, you know, where do I want to coach, at least publicly. But in my mind, in my heart, I knew, and you're going to hear it over and over again, this is the only place I would ever leave Gonzaga to come to be the head coach at University of Arizona.
Lloyd understandably emotional after spending a lifetime in Spokane, lead assistant at the end of his run for Mark Few. And even though he has an amazing resume, you don't typically get your first head coaching opportunity in one of the top 10 programs in all of college basketball. And he brought a big fella with him from Gonzaga. Get to know Oumar Ballo. They call Ballo Baby Shaq in Spokane because he's got a big body, as you can plainly see.
As big as they come. And I want to go back to what you said about Tommy right there and just how emotional he got in that press conference. And I think that's, you know, that's real stuff right there. And I think if you're an Arizona fan, you got to love that because I think he feels at home here. And he's only been here, I don't know what it's been, 6 months or 7, whatever it is. He really feels at home. You can see how comfortable he is. No Tie Tommy is doing it again with the golf shirt. I love.
You make the fashion statement as always, so I'll defer to you for sartorial splendor off the inbound. Tout in a crowd, out to a shooter, and Mason Stark, who put up unbelievable numbers. D2 Northern State, he's an Arizona product, and this has to mean a lot to him to be back home playing for NAU after D1 schools decided they did not want to offer him a scholarship. Coloco couldn't knock it down, and a chance for NAU to tie with a 3 here, 10 minutes into the opening half of the opener. Great to have you with us on this busy night across Pac-12 networks and all of college basketball. Better than 300 teams playing day 1 to start this highly anticipated season. Everything but the bucket there for Tout.
Tout's good. You know, you can see big body, nice moves, took his time. But I think the bigger story right now, NAU only down 3. After 2 minutes or 3 minutes of this first half, it looked like it was going to be a run out for Arizona, but NAU kind of settled down, settled in. I think having that point guard Cone, who has that experience from Virginia Tech, has helped a lot. He hit that first big shot for them. I think the confidence is there for NAU.
Richards, the personal foul. And I'm going to defer to you because you are a legend in this town. When Kriisa hits a 2-point field goal, let everyone know the significance. That's foreshadowing because last year, small sample size, just the 8 games, it was nothing but 3s.
Yeah, never made it 2. Had 42 shots, and 38 of them were 3s. 4 of them were 2s. Didn't make one. I thought it was pretty fun the other night. In the exhibition game, he did make one, and he was letting everybody know about it. He'll probably do that again tonight, assuming he knocks one in.
Briefly in the transfer portal, decided to stay.
He's got some guts. Kriisa does. If you're around him long enough, you can just tell he's got something to him. And I think he's going to be a big key, Brian, this entire year for how he runs this team and shoots it from the three.
Go through the screen. And the rebound to Terry, who's going to ignite the transition opportunity.
That right there is like, that was, I don't know, 18 years ago, 16, Andre Iguodala-esque. That's what Iguodala used to do, the long arms.
2001, 2002.
Athleticism, and he hung up there. He just seemed like he was hanging to pull the rebound, and then obviously the great ball handling and the dish.
As Kyer was able to finish.
Travel?
Not anymore in modern basketball. Cone down the lane, took advantage of the open space.
They give you the benefit of the doubt now, right? That's the new
Point
rule
of
on
emphasis
that.
heading into this new year. That was not exactly as Tommy Lloyd drew it up, but it still counts for two for Koloko, who has that 7'6" wingspan. And you saw the defensive effort there by Kim Aiken Jr. as he laid it all on the line. And the three knocked down by Keith Haven, the redshirt sophomore from Cypress, Texas, in the Houston metro area. Number 3 on the Lumberjack roster last year, and three-pointers made.
Yeah, he's an old school shooter. Here's another shooter, Aiken. I talked about it. He did not shoot the ball well here last year when Eastern Washington played here. Mentioned that he wanted to get that out of the system. Had a great red-blue, had a great exhibition game, and he continues it here. This stroke for him just looking solid.
The grad transfer from Eastern Washington, familiar with NAU from his time in the Big Sky. The lead is 6. And go.
Terry.
Matt Simons. Terry, you saw the clapping leading to the turnover. And Kyer is working his way to the line. Heyman got him.
Well, you know, coaches nowadays, they love steals, but they love deflections as well, and that's what Terry gets here. The clap, you called it, Brian. That was the deflection right to Kyer. Kyer knows what to do with it after he gets it. Again, another older player, Kyer. I love this second unit. You bring out a guy like Aiken, who has all that experience. Kyer has all that experience, and they can kind of just glue this second unit together and play with a lot of energy and skill.
Tubelis back on with Kyer looking to knock down the second one. You mentioned the wealth of experience prior to coming to Arizona. Already has 2 degrees after playing 4 seasons for George Mason. Earned his bachelor's in sports management. Picked up another one last year when he was playing in the SEC for Georgia. Housing management and policy. In his career, better than 1,300 points. This is game number 134 in the college ranks. And if you're just thinking about the differential in experience offered by Kyer and Aiken, the transfers, they played more games than everybody else on the roster combined in the aggregate.
That's crazy. But that's this new era of basketball. We see this with a lot of teams now.
NAU hanging around with the basketball, down 7.
Be interesting here. You see Arizona switching some of those screens with so many guys that are athletic. They can switch a ton this year. That'll be a big benefit for them on defense.
Terry, the kick out. Risa. And the crowd was ready to erupt.
It didn't look like he had it in his hand.
Yeah,
Right. It looked like it slipped off to the right.
Could have 9,000 or 10,000 folks tonight on top of the 6,000 that showed up for the women's game. Separate tickets required, but probably some duplication, and that's also play. As defense leads to the opportunity, Heyman picks up the foul.
Well, I mentioned Terry wanting to be Andre Iguodala. That's the comp for him. And there's the pass like Iggy used to do, the finish from Kyer. These guys are having fun.
Here in Tucson with Arizona now shooting 43%, getting marginal separation on the scoreboard, leading NAU by 7 on this historic night around the conference. You get a sense of what else has occurred and hope you enjoyed all of the free access to all 12 games with UCLA coming up in the nightcap on the Pac-12 Now app. Will Richardson remains with Duarte moving on to the pros. One of the key offensive cogs for Dana Altman's team that's won back-to-back regular season Pac-12 titles.
Yeah, I think he's a star this year for Oregon. Maybe a dark horse player of the year. Kamani Lawrence, been in Arizona State forever. And Tyrell Roberts, not sure. I have not seen him play, but a big game by him tonight in their victory. And I think, You know, Brian, one of the teams I have as a dark horse this year, a little bit of a sleeper, Washington State. I really think they can have a great year. Kyle Smith has done a terrific job up there of managing that team, getting talent up there. Abo Ibagidi, I think, is going to be terrific. Noah Williams just blew up in the best way last year. He was awesome. And Yakimovsky, they got a number of guys that I think are really going to contribute this year.
Another opportunity after Tubelis missed the free throw for NAU to carve into the lead. It was intended for Richards, unable to haul it in. Backdoor is open. Takes it all the way to the bucket.
Well, it was first set up by Koloko. It was a great play by NAU. Koloko's just too tall and too long, and that back door was so set up. And it is just a joy to watch Mathurin catch and jump and hammer it home.
Well, talking so much about what Tommy Lloyd wants to achieve, a lot of it hinges on spacing and pacing, and there was tons of real estate to utilize there.
Player movement, ball movement, unselfishness, and I love what Terry's doing right now. He's playing with there we go. There's the two. He's going to show it to his team at the finger out.
There's the smile. So acknowledging personal history, a little bit quirky. That is the first two Kirk Kriisa has made in his brief career here in Arizona. Time now for Nextiva Team Talk. When you need to talk with your team, always use Nextiva. What do you think Tommy Lloyd is emphasizing here?
Well, I think the first thing is he told Kriisa, good job on that two-pointer. But I think he loves the energy of this team, of this second unit. Now they've got guys coming, a lot of different combos. But he's just saying, keep it going, guys. We're running right now. It was tight, but the defense is turning into offense. And I think he loves that. Any coach loves that. Yeah, there's the play you talked about. Little backdoor to Kriisa and a nice little righty. Sometimes you go with the left there. That was not an easy shot at all. In fact, he got it almost above, did get it above the square. Good finish.
Even more pressure yields another turnover as Arizona is grabbing this game slowly by the throat.
Yeah, and that's back to what he was saying. He's saying just put your foot on the gas. Don't let them up. And like I said, Dalen Terry, to me, like the emotion, you talk about emotional leaders, and a lot of times you see it on offense. Terry is giving them an emotional lift on defense, and that is turning into points.
Order has been restored. I think it's going to be fascinating to see what Terry does in this offense. We know he can play multiple positions. And Tommy Lloyd thinks a big jump is certainly highly possible this year. The three, and on cue, Terry, who knocked them down at a rate of 33% last year, has 5 early points.
Well, just look out for this kid this year. He's doing it on both ends. And that, I want to point out, is a new jump shot. That's a whole new form. Last year we saw him struggle a little bit, had the elbow out. He's worked really hard on it this offseason, and right there it paid off.
Koloko denying Tout the other way, and it took a second effort for Tubelis. He's got 8, and Arizona has doubled up NAU after this game was tight for the first 10 minutes.
Again, defense leading to offense, and Shane Burkhart said before the game, almost what every mid-major coach, almost any coach will say, transition D is the key for NAU. They just can't give up those easy buckets. Arizona piling it on right now.
Last year, Arizona won by 43 in what was the season opener for the Lumberjacks after their first game was postponed due to COVID issues. Shot clock violation, and you can see an enthusiastic Julius Tubelis firing up the crowd.
And they're looking for him to be that emotional leader as well. And if there's anything better than a steal and a run out the other way, it's a shot clock violation. Every coach loves it. That means they're doing their job. And you mentioned it earlier, Brian. I want to go back to that. This team is really pressuring out. Ball pressure, they're getting out on the wings. They're not letting passes get to those wings. They're making the offense really tough for NAU.
NAU showing a zone look here. Cats with an opportunity to capitalize from the perimeter, and Larson certainly capable of that. The three for Kriisa, and then the battle along the baseline will give it to the
Now this is right here. We saw Terry in that half court just pulling up. I like the look there. And again, the practice there on the break, the lob. Tubelis got a little bit hung up, but I love how he runs. I think Koloko and Tubelis run as good as any big man in this conference.
Isaiah Lewis desperately needed some help there, and it comes from our Pac-12 officiating crew. Terry picks up the personal. As Lewis looked highly uncomfortable, Tommy Lloyd wants a conversation. He's from Kelso, Washington, in the southwest corner of the state. 2 years at Walla Walla CC, still holds the school record with 52 points in a game, and we know he can knock it down from midcourt.
Yeah, he was 2 for 2 in the red blue and then the exhibition. He did not make them this afternoon, but he was close. But a couple guys did. Coach Murphy, he knocked one in. A number of players, let's see, who was it? Let's see, one of the freshmen, I think, hit 2 of them in a row. So a lot of fun for those guys hitting half-court shots.
Tout was able to pick up his 6 points. Tubelis couldn't keep his individual momentum going. Burkar calls out the set play. Mentioned that Division I state title in the high school ranks here in Arizona 2016. Took over for Jack Murphy when he came here to Tucson as an assistant for Sean Miller, retained by Lloyd. Mason Stark highly motivated back home after going to D2 Northern State. And watch out for Mason if he gets another touch. He has virtually unlimited range.
I want to see him launch, Brian. I mean, he has come in with one of the highest, just the best reputation as a shooter. He might get one right here, might get a look, but he knocked in that tough shot off the glass.
Hustle play for Arizona, and they can push it all the way to the bucket. 7 points now for Terry. He's locked in.
The finger roll.
Going old school somewhere. The Iceman is smiling.
He's got a lot of game, Terry. On both ends, it's fun to watch him early on right now. Not only, I mentioned the energy's fantastic, but just the skill level, just about everything he's doing.
Haynes had it knocked away by Tubelis. Shot clock gotta go. Top shot. And that's great defense as to how to make the adjustment. Kerr leaves it for Mathurin. The fake. And rolled it off.
Crowd wanted the payoff right there, but Mathurin not able to hit. I'll tell you who's paying it off is a sophomore kid. Dalen Terry doing everything.
Wow. Spotlighting ball movement. Arizona already racking up a dozen assists.
You see what Arizona's doing there is passing the ball ahead on that highlight. That's a big part of Tommy Lloyd's offense. This one you didn't need to pass ahead. But when you're 6'7" and athletic and can handle, you can finish, but then you can also give it up higher with a nice finish. And you know, you look back at, there's Terry on the bench now. Look, almost a little, I was thinking maybe triple-double watch here early, although he only has 2 rebounds, but 7 points, 6 assists, doing it all. Now, I was thinking about this, Brian. Last year, Gonzaga, where Tommy Lloyd came from, they set the all-time record for 2-point field goal percentage. They were just incredible at it. And you think with spread offenses, you think the three-pointer, you think of those things. But Tommy Lloyd and his team love getting layups, love getting into the lane.
Larson with the foul on Stark, and Lloyd affiliated with all of those winning seasons for Gonzaga. Zags making some history with back-to-back preseason #1 selections, putting them in the ranks of Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky all time. That's how transcendent that program has become. Fortuitous bounce on a Big Word Tuesday, Cam. Right back to Cone. Open 3 canned by Maines. That's gotta feel good.
Yeah, he didn't have a great game last year here, but he's so talented. A real matchup problem. He will be an incredible matchup problem in the Big Sky this year.
And we chatted with his younger brother, Jordan, a reserve for the Cats. We'll talk about the family dynamics as we get deeper into the game. Kyer couldn't hit it. Nifty save by Krisa at midcourt. The lane is open for Larson. The kick out. Now the drive. No look. Kyer beating Mathurin with style points. He's got 4. There's that ball movement we were talking about.
And that that was all started by Pelle Larsson splitting that zone at the top. Once he split, then it was basically 5-on-4. They kicked to Kyer. It was 4-on-3. Then they got down to a 2-on-1. And a great dish.
Rapidly played opening half. Coming up at halftime, we'll take you to our studios in San Francisco. Check in with Ashley Adamson and the coach, Ben Braun. That was a clean rejection. No need to think about goaltending for Koloko.
He almost blocked it into you.
He knows.
I mean, it was almost in the
I
front
got
row.
skills. Game recognizes game. Stark could not hit from three-point range. Kyer is putting on a show with the assist and hooking up with teammates, and we have mutual possession in the lane. Foul coming.
Yeah, and here was that play on the zone. NAU comes out, and you see Larsson. Once he splits it, now it's 4-on-3 there, so they're recovering, helping, they're in trouble, and then they can't do it enough. Kyer makes the great play. And man, is there anybody that can finish better than Mathurin at 6'4" in the country? I mean, goodness.
Maines picked up the foul. A reminder, Larsson coming back from the fracture in his foot will be monitored carefully with limited minutes tonight. Pelle making his way from Sweden.
You know what I noticed about him in practice? Saw him a couple times. He's one of those guys that when he touches it, he just passes it and moves. Passes and moves. He's the perfect guy you want in an offense. And by the way, we haven't even gotten to the things he can do, which is shoot. He's 6'5". He just really knows how to play. He's going to help this team a ton this year.
Koloko hit them both. He spent a lot of time working on his approach from the line. A couple years ago, 35% up to 63% last year with a minute left in the opening half, and Arizona in front by 15. Coat had a flurry of activity to start, and he has been off for the last 15 minutes or so. Another transition opportunity to the trailing Kriisa, who buries it. He's got 9.
And zero hesitation. He had missed a couple, but no hesitation from deep. He has got a ton of confidence. For a guy that hasn't played that much, we talked about it, he only played 8 games last year, so he's a sophomore, but almost like still a freshman, so just loving the confidence.
You see about a 8-second difference between the clocks.
And by the way, if your name's Kerr or it's on the back of your jersey, you better shoot it well. In McHale.
Excellent defense once more. Koloko with the adjustment. Koloko playing beat the block. And he's got it. He rolls it in. He's got 8. And that will prove a lead to 20. Biggest lead of the first half.
Koloko going the old Shaq move. He didn't look at his left hand, but my goodness, he took that in from the top of the key.
Well, it took a while for Arizona to assert themselves. Wildcats now dictating the terms. They're up 42-22 at the half. Coming up, we'll take you to the studio. Check in with Ashley Adamson, Ben Braun on this busy night across the Pac-12. Came in 1958. A legendary bear down gym. Early on, they made this game interesting, and then Arizona found their rhythm. Look at the particulars. A reminder, because Kriisa was not cleared until February 4th by the NCAA. Only had the 8 games, and his best showing last year was 12 points against Oregon, so real opportunity for a new personal best tonight. But overall, Matt, reflects a balanced effort by Arizona offensively.
Yeah, just again go back to the assists. 17 field goals on 15 assists. I mean, that is almost unheard of. Tommy Lloyd getting his guys going, wants to keep the pressure on, and Kriisa was one of those guys. He had 3 assists, but leading the way, Dalen Terry, 6 assists in the first half.
Lloyd was such an instrumental recruiter for Mark Few at Gonzaga. We'll talk about the international connections as well, and Tommy's background and what he hopes to do here in Tucson. That was the principle of verticality. We're going old school. You can go straight up. That's a good no call.
It is.
Koloko held his ground.
Absolutely. Smart play by him. And by the way, who did they have on the point guard but Dalen Terry at 6'7"? Interesting, and there you go. Great call, Brian.
Was it 1958? Well, I mentioned the last time NAU won here as Tout was denied. Feed it down low. And prior to the shot, Koloko got fouled by Maines.
Yeah, that wasn't really there that time. I think Tubelis just needed to swing it. And you see that a lot, like just being aggressive to try to get it inside, but you swing it 2 or 3 times and it's a lot easier to dump it in.
Second foul for Maines. You know the tradition here in Tucson, nobody sits until the first shot goes down. And that was everything but the bottom of the net as Tubelis touched all of the rim. That was catch and shoot, not in the vicinity, but still off the cone miss, dropped in by Tout, who has scored 8 points and been the major offensive component tonight.
Been impressed with him. Been really a good player.
Quick whistle comes as Cone picks up another personal foul, his second. Cone was a marquee performer in high school. Led the state of North Carolina top 5 in the country his junior year at Walkerton High, 35.5 points a game. Indiana, Oklahoma State interested. And when you can average around 10 points a game in the ACC, as he did at Virginia Tech, you know you're a talented player.
Yeah, and he was recruited by Indiana and Penn State. I mean, it was Mathurin hangs in the air there, but a couple of really big schools, Big Ten schools, were after him and chose NAU, wanted playing time. And I think obviously worked out for NAU to get a quality player like him. Wow, it's a little step back there. Not too much. There goes Terry.
Hearing it from the crowd. And transition, Terry a bit too enthused there, looking to hook up with Tubelis.
Well, and that pass is not easy, and because you're going so fast and the momentum, it's easy to throw one over. I have a long story I will not tell on the TV that I once threw over the backboard at NAU. They have that sky dome there, and that was a little embarrassing. I still have people that I see from NAU that I know that remind me of that pass, but
I might have left the state by now, Matt. It's a big country, and activity by Tout. He's fouled on his way. Koloko picks up the personal.
And I like how Tout is going into the shot blocker. Koloko, it's the only way to do it. If you are hesitant or fade back at all, you're going to get your shot thrown back at you. Now look at him just aggressively go right into the body. He created the contact, easy call.
Tout, a career high 13 points at Montana from Gilbert. Gilbert High, 5A Conference Player of the Year, honorable mention, All-State. Won the 2019 5A State Championship. One semester at Cal Baptist, did not play hoops there. He's over his seasonal average last year of 6 points, up to 9 points, and he is a good-looking player.
And I think with him, Cone, and Maines, that's a great threesome they have.
Well, the alley-oops have been the focal points. You can see what Arizona's trying to achieve. They've been just a little bit out of sync. Tout gets the foul.
Yeah, and it's, you know, Coach Lloyd kind of, motioning to those guys, hey, be patient, okay? You don't have to get that play again on the first pass. They've done it a couple times here. Look for the right one when it comes to you, and that's really his offense. It's a read and react offense. They had a player last year, anybody that watched Gonzaga, Andrew Nimhard, that was one of the best ball screen read and react guys in the country that I've seen in a long time. He was so good. He was like a surgeon. Tommy Lloyd coached him up and developed him, and that's another part of Tommy Lloyd, is really developing guys, and you can see it here. He is really teaching this team how he wants that offense to flow.
Tout's second personal, as we allude to, Mathurin is a pure shooter, not only from 3. Look at that. 84.6 from the line. Another opportunity for the ball to be in motion. That was unselfish. Post to post. Mathurin finding Tubelis on the move. 10 points now for Tubelis.
Well, and that work is NAU's. They're totally surprised right here. Arizona comes out in some sort of 2-1-2 zone trap. NAU was not ready for it, and they caught him by surprise. But look at the length up top. There's Terry again. There's Mathurin. 1 pass, 2 pass, give it back. Thank you very much. Another assist. This is a lot of fun when you share it, fellas.
It's Pac-12 tip-off Tuesday. presented by Gatorade. Everyone across the Conference of Champions playing an outstanding time to provide context. Preseason media poll, no surprise, UCLA fresh off the run to the Final Four with everybody back, including Juzang and Jaquez receiving all but 2 of the first place votes, and UCLA playing Cal State Bakersfield. And Paulie, as we speak, what do you think about Arizona getting a share of 4th?
Well, I'd first say the media knows what they're doing, because that was almost what I would have had there. I thought they were pretty accurate. You never know now. Teams can move up and obviously fall down. But I think Arizona at 4 was about right. I wondered, Brian, if some people would dock them a little bit for a new coach. They lost 4 of their top 6 scorers, but I think they realized 2 of the studs back and a lot of new guys that are really, really good.
And that's an offensive foul. Heyman dropped the shoulder as the shot clock was dwindling. Nice play by Kriisa. That's the 3rd foul for the redshirt sophomore from Texas.
Well, he sold it a little bit, got the chest in first, and I predicted earlier this year that he would be in the top 3 or 4 in charges taken.
And I know you believe in the advanced analytics. You were talking about algorithms and things I can't even pronounce before we went on the air. Well, the key number is the field of 68, if you include the first 4, right? NCAA tournament is the goal, and winning multiple games with the high expectations here in Tucson. A reminder, Arizona hasn't made it to the tournament since 2018.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And I'm not sure where I learned algorithm, but you went to Stanford.
Okay, we don't talk about that. My parents are embarrassed
maybe
already.
That's where I learned it at Arizona. That makes sense.
As you know, I'm a Tucsonian
You didn't
now.
have that kind of language, at Stanford.
We
learned that here.
With Tommy, I'm going to lose my tie because he's a very casual guy. We found out about his love of the Beastie Boys. That was well documented, but we went in depth today at shoot-around.
It was interesting. He was fired up. Like, I think we asked him a couple basketball questions. He was like, yeah, whatever. And we said Beastie Boys, and he lit up and told us a few stories about it. And you can see him right there getting into his guys. In fact, one of the stories I thought was really cool was he said when he was in high school, he would put his boom box in his room. He would put the screen over the boom box, go outside, put on the Beastie Boys, and just start shooting, start balling all by himself.
You put on Paul's Boutique and you knock down 100 free throws. If you're wondering about the slight delay, it's just to make sure the clock is aligned so our outstanding crew of Mike Reed, Mark Beasley, and Ryan McDaniel go to work.
All right, so we got to go back to Beastie Boys, because this does not happen very often that we get a telecast and we're talking about that. You're from New York, right? So you remember those guys in high school?
A quick personal anecdote, and then we'll get back to the game, because I'm sure everyone's rolling their eyes. In 1985, I was tasked with taking my younger sister to Radio City Music Hall to see Madonna. Who opened for Madonna? The Beastie Boys, and now you know the rest of the story.
Well, I know you like them and know them because Paul's Boutique is only mentioned by someone who really knows the Beastie Boys.
An aficionado, yes.
And that was Tommy Lloyd's favorite album.
Well, Tommy will turn 47 on December 21st, 5-year contract. And life-altering news for the whole family with wife Chanel and his 3 children, Liam, Sophia Maria, and Maria Alexis. Transition look for Cone, and that's an offensive foul. Well,
Kriisa
tracking it. Kriisa, obviously our voice projects because you could be completely all over this stat.
Well, and he was an 0 in the first half, no charges, and then all of a sudden in 1 minute, 2 of them. He's lining them up.
Cone just picked up his 3rd personal foul.
You know what I love about this team is how many energy guys they have. And to me, energy people are just, they mean so much. They have a lot of energy guys. Like, you look around that team, and Terry has, to me, been incredible. Kriisa, I think you see it. I think Koloko, especially for a big man. A lot of times you don't see big men with that kind of energy. He has great energy, and the bench guys are terrific.
Matherin, smooth move, was looking for the whistle. Instead played in with 15 to go. Well, we knew a year ago with the game on the line, likely Akinjo was going to take the shot. Now on to school number 3 at Baylor. That's a wonderful decision to go play for the national champs. We'll talk about it later in the game. It's going to be very intriguing to see who will take that shot in a high-leverage situation. The good news is there are plenty of options this year.
I love the baseball term, high-leverage situation. And this is not a high leverage right now, being up 20.
Quentin
18,
Brown hits.
But nice shot there.
Second-year freshman from Carson, just outside of L.A., averaged just a couple points last year. Kriisa sold it, no call. Catch and shoot. Stark leads in, and that's the form we were discussing, and a timeout for Tommy Lloyd. Stark with 5 points, but a heat check could be in the mix here, because over the course of his 3 years at Northern State on the D2 level, he knocked them down at a 51% clip.
Why hide your skin if Dupixent has your moderate to severe eczema or atopic dermatitis under control?
Hide my skin? Not me.
By hitting eczema where it counts, Dupixent helps heal your skin from within, keeping you one step ahead of eczema. And that means long-lasting, clearer skin and fast itch relief for adults.
Hide my skin? Not me.
By helping to control eczema with Dupixent, you can show more with less eczema. Don't use if you're allergic to Dupixent. Serious allergic reactions can occur, including anaphylaxis, which is severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems, such as eye pain or vision changes, or a parasitic infection. If you take asthma medicines, don't change or stop them without talking to your doctor. When you help heal your skin from within, you can change how your skin looks and feels. And that's the kind of change you notice. Talk to your eczema specialist about Dupixent, a breakthrough eczema treatment.
At CDW, we get if your network power goes down, your business goes with it.
Thanks for calling. We are unexpectedly closed today.
CDW experts can keep you up and running with an APC SmartOps lithium-ion UPS from Schneider Electric. It offers cloud-enabled remote monitoring and 3 times the battery life, so you can get the performance and certainty you need to stay open for business. For resiliency at the edge, trust Schneider Electric and IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it.
It wasn't just that he was a great basketball coach. He was a great culture builder. Everything that he taught, it was like and I didn't realize it at the time. I was just absorbing everything. But it was a master class in leadership and coaching and family and community. And everything that I learned here has translated to my entire life, to everything that I've done, from raising a family to coaching teams to being a part of the community. We did all of that here.
Matt, eloquent thoughts from your good friend, former teammate Steve Kerr. It was a wonderful memorial here at McKale on September 12th. Of course, we come to you from Lute and Bobby Olson for the celebration of life of the Hall of Famer and a singular force in our sport.
Yeah, he was just incredible. A tear in the eye, not seeing him here at the games like we have been, the last 9 or 10 years, such a luxury. But what he did for the Arizona community, just unmatched ever in this Southern Arizona, maybe even in the state. And I love what Kerr said, the master class part of that. I'll tell you a quick funny story. And, Lou did so many great things. We have ex-players that the list goes a long way, and he did so many things for players and managers. He was, he built family at U of A, but the day of that celebration, I picked up Steve and 2 other teammates of mine, Judd Bushler, as Kriisa knocks down another 3, and a guy named Bruce Frazier. Picked him up at the hotel. We came over to the arena to do the celebration, and we'd had a pretty fun night before, had a few beverages, and we were feeling okay, a little tired. And we started giving Kerr, not Kerr Kriisa, but Steve Kerr some grief because he gave the opening speech to the football team against San Diego State, and it didn't go very well. And we said, hey, Stevie, I hope your speech today goes better. We're already getting on him. And he goes, you know what? I'm going with that in my opening line. And he did. Said, I hope my speech today is better. And then everyone laughed, and he said, too soon. But, Steve had thought about that speech, didn't have anything in writing. He just wanted to go from the heart.
That's amazing.
And you mentioned eloquent. I think he's one of the best communicators and eloquent speakers that I've ever seen.
Koloko picking up his 3rd foul. That's about the 4th time that the alley-oop has not worked in transition. Stark can't roll it down. And now a chance for defense leading to offense. Hanging and hitting As Terry's building on what he did in the first half. He's got 9.
Well, now he's the recipient. He has been the assist guy and gets down the floor quickly. And here again, look how he's guarding Cone. I think it's a really interesting move. Put your best player on the NAU best offensive player, and the size difference has got to be a problem for Cone.
Tout with 11 points, leading the Lumberjacks. Shot clock issues once more. With the clock now at 7, Kyer the foul. His first.
Here's that break, and one of the things Arizona, they just get it out so quick, and they dribble part of that, but I love the outlet passes. They don't do it with the dribble, they pass it up, and just about every guy in this team can finish.
An AU team coming off a 6-win season last year. Like everybody, had to navigate COVID issues, but missed a slew of games, total of 30 practices. But go back to 2019-2020, Jim Burkhardt won 16 games, most since 2015. And they're hoping that Cone can play under control, because we can see the range of his skills. And so far tonight, it's been just a little bit erratic. Now they have to recognize. Shot clock at 3. Cone's got to go. And it comes off for another rebound to Aiken.
Well, that time they had Larson on him again, using the height. Kriisa lining it up.
And he tried to chase down his own rebound as Cone beat him to the spot. And there's the floater, and that's how you become a big-time scorer in the ACC. 7 points now. Back the other way, and time! Teammates completely locked in. Kriisa finding Larson, looking healthy going to the goal.
No question. I just want to point out that's after a made bucket. If Arizona has, if you are wondering about how they're going to push it this year, look after made buckets and they get a lob, not for a dunk, but Kriisa, as you said, looking healthy.
No signs of the foot injury at all for the Swede as we had takeoff. That's a wonderful spin move, but Koloko was not fooled, turning it away as Tout tried to come up with some deception, and you see the smile flash by the big man.
Well, Tout, we showed the video about 5 minutes ago of him going into Koloko. You go backwards, good luck with that one.
Remember during the shutdown, Koloko, who played at that high school filled with rock stars now in LA, Sierra Canyon. If you're on any form of social media, you see the highlights of Bronny James. Another beat the clock situation there. Then on the weak side, it's pulled away by Maines. But Koloko during the lockdown couldn't get to a gym in Southern California. And last year was some of an extension of the inability to get into the gym. Cone just picked up his 4th. He's 1 away from fouling out.
I love Kriisa. He didn't get the charge that time, but he went over and hugged Larson, who did.
But if you think about what Koloko has done, and remember, at the age of 21, he's a real veteran, and he said he had 3 productive conversations with Tommy Lloyd and the staff, decided to stay, liked what he heard, and wanted to continue this journey with his teammates, and has to feel good about the ball movement and the point production from Kriisa. That's the point guard putting up the points. That was done with style points, as this one now has opened up in a huge way. We're going back and forth, and the foul in the paint, it was Ballo who was ticketed for Arizona.
Well, Kriisa on that last one, just a simple UCLA cut, came off that screen at the high post, and they did not switch that or cover it very well. Kriisa, another 2-pointer, so getting used to that shot. And I think, was that Heyman that had an incredible scoop?
That's going to go on the highlights
on the other end.
Good for Kriisa with 14 points, now has a new brief career high, eclipsing the 12 points he scored against Oregon. And the officials tightening things up here, and we've seen a handful of offensive fouls. That time, Lewis picks it up. We know early on that there are officiating videos. I know you sat through all 90 minutes of it prior to coming to the gym, and points of emphasis. And early on, certainly that feels like they want to make sure that there's not too much restriction of motion. And as Larson now has a couple buckets.
Yeah, that was a play where they run towards the player in the corner, and then the defender has to figure out what to do.
Larson.
And as a defender, you got to really be on your toes because they lose sight of Larson in the corner on this one, and he goes backdoor, has his back to the man. Got to see man and ball.
Bring it home.
Unlike college football, one of the magnificent things about our sport, intersectional matchups, and look at some of these blockbusters, including what's coming up at Pauley later this week on Friday. First time a top 5 non-conference regular season matchup involving a Pac-12 school held in our conference since December of 2000. That was number 3 Stanford defeating number 1 Duke a million years ago.
Yeah, there's some great non-con for the Pac-12, and that's, you know, really where we talk about it every year. You make your hay in those games. The conference did a great job of that last year, and we've seen other years maybe not as good. So those will be important games. I love the Baylor-Oregon game. How about that one? Arizona in on some of those. They play a couple of highly ranked teams, so Arizona fans will be loving those games in later November and December.
That was wonderful to see because Ballo set the screen and then Kyer rewarded the big man with his first bucket that counts in his regular season debut for Arizona.
Great call. Great call. Made him the recipient of that. And again, this is kind of now again this is their big small big lineup where they have only Ballo at the 5, and every wing is 6'5" or taller. They don't have one guy that's under 6'5". This is a huge wing lineup with Ballo in the middle.
As Matherin's working his way to the line, that was a hard foul delivered by Richards.
There's that straight. Woo! Man, he came. I'm not even sure he knew where he was. He had to go back and find his man, but you called it right there. That was such a hard screen running into Ballo. And it was interesting there. He could have laid it up. I think the pass was such that he couldn't really dunk it on the alley-oop. So a smart move, I think, to catch, bring down, gather, and then throw it home.
Ballo listed at 260. Matherin, 7 points so far, averaged 11 in 23 minutes last year, but hasn't been asked to do that much tonight because it really has been a very balanced outlook.
Yep, and I mentioned this on the last telecast, and I want to mention it again. You know, a lot of guys on this team work hard in the weight room, but 2 of the guys that stand out to Chris Round's strength and conditioning coach are Ballo and Koloko. And not that big guys don't work hard, but it's hard to see that all the time as a big, but these guys have really worked hard. They are really good guys too.
Richards earned that hoop. He's got 4 points for the Santa Clara transfer. Backdoor open once more. It rolls off for Matherin, and Ballo kept it alive. Hustle play yielded another look for Aiken, and he comes away with it to Larson, 4-3. What tenacity was displayed by Arizona as they just kept on fighting.
You called it. They just kept at it. They wouldn't let go of it, and best time to shoot a 3 on an offensive rebound when it's kicked out. Larson was really loving that 3 when it went in. A lot of emotion from him.
The lead is 23 with less than 10 minutes to go. Reminder, Larson third best in the Pac-12 at 47% for the Utah Utes last year. More defensive resolve. Kyer setting up Matherin. Ballo with the follow. He's going to the line.
Well, how many
Richards got him.
Yeah, how many offensive rebounds, Brian, on that last one? It was just, they just kept at it. That one, Ballo got too low, and then Larson again, the recipient. Bench loves that, and I know, for a guy that's been out a long time, Larson really did as well. And he hasn't been in rhythm because of the injury. That 3 looked great. And I want to just repeat what you said, because I think that again, sort of secret weapon with Larson. He was 3rd in the conference last year in 3-point field goal percentage. I mean, I don't want that to go by because that's big time.
And Matherin was top 10 as well.
Yep.
So Larson looking like he's feeling fine, coming off the foot injury, going to play his way back into basketball shape. Ballo spent 2 developmental years at Gonzaga, a top 100 recruit from Mali. part of the international pipeline of talent that Tommy Lloyd influenced in coming to Spokane. And 4 points for Umar in his Arizona debut.
You know, every year I look at this, any team, and I wonder, you know, how many guys can score 20 a game? And I was just thinking about that, looking out at this lineup right here. And I think there's a lot of guys that can do it. I think you're talking about 4 or 5, maybe 6 that can, you know, blow it out like that.
Chouch trying to get creative. Denied by Tubelis, but he picks up the foul. So as Julius now has a couple personal fouls. Crowd doesn't love it as we have the benefit of replay here inside McHale with just another reminder of what basketball means here in Tucson. The fact that the women's program, coming off the run to the national championship game, losing to Stanford, had a crowd of 6,100 at 5 p.m. local time. Separate tickets for the men's game. Massive crowd, as you might expect, with the 8:30 local time. Arizona basketball, part of the fabric of Tucson for decades.
Well, that's incredible, that number, and it's a tough game to get that many people on that early on a Tuesday. So the women's program, I've heard people say, Brian, that they are better than last year. It's tough to think about that with Erin McDonald no longer on the team, but they're deeper and probably a little more confident.
And Kyer stays with it. That's the form that enabled him to play at such a high level for both George Mason and Georgia. Averaged 9.5 points for the Dogs in 31 minutes last year. It was intended for Richards, intercepted by Terry. Back to Kyer for 3, off the mark. Now, you have to credit what Shane Burkhardt looks to achieve in scheduling. Next up on Thursday, they're in Seattle at Heckhead taking on UW.
That's a tough road trip.
Back to
start
back.
here and
Pac-12 opponents on the road. Terry with the foul.
Burkhardt, I really love what he talked about earlier today. You know, they're building a new student-athlete high-performance center up at NAU, and their AD, Mike Marlowe, he talked about it, really committed to what they're doing athletically with really every sport, but also the basketball team. And Shane really appreciates that. It's really hard to make a run when you're a mid-major if you don't have the commitment of the AD, and they really do. And I think he's going to really get things going up there. Obviously, Brian, a lot owed to Jack Murphy on Arizona. He came up there as the interim coach, and when Murph came down here to Arizona to work with Sean Miller a few years ago, there's Murph right there. Really helped him out get that job at NAU.
Murphy spending 7 years as the head coach of Lumberjacks, and you think about his basketball odyssey. Started as a team manager, as you'll recall.
Yeah.
And that ignited a terrific coaching career, not only here, but in Flagstaff as well. Arizona on top, 68-43. Open look for Tubelis, and that's a smooth stroke. He's got 13, burying the 3.
Shot 31% last year, which actually surprised me. I thought it was higher because it just felt like he made more than that, but the numbers don't lie. I think this year that'll go way up.
Well, that was a rain-making shot by Stark. He drops it down. He's got 9. The big fella feeling very comfortable from distance. No doubt about it, as Arizona's in control.
Like a double majestic with that. Look at how fast and how high and how powerful Ben Mathurin gets up to throw those down. I mean, I said this the last telecast. I just got to say it again. When you're here, his explosiveness just jumps out at you. It's a thing to see.
And later on, when we have more time, we'll talk about the importance of family to Justin Kyer, and specifically the roles played by both his mom, Keely, and his grandmother, Evelyn. Want to make sure we have plenty of time to give that story the opportunity to allow some reflection, so we don't have to punch it with a Creasa Three-point look. Terry had just enough room, and it's knocked away by Towns. Harry McDonald, royalty for Arizona basketball here. Adia Barnes' team certainly misses. Now the WNBA and international star, but still have Sam Thomas and Kate Reese.
Well, you talk about Sam Thomas, Adia Barnes. Nice shot there by Reese.
He's got 17, new career high.
Yeah, he's feeling. Like I mentioned, he was 1 for 8 in that exhibition game, but huge bounce back to have the confidence to really play as well as he has tonight.
Lewis will work through the Tout screen. Tout with the shot clock at 8. Backing down. Maine's open for 3.
I mean, Tout is a good player, big and strong. He didn't even want to shoot it. It was just, Koloko is so difficult.
Terry hesitation, and then in the rebounding effort, Tubelis got tangled up. Lewis picks up the foul.
Arizona's number 4, Dignan Terry.
Putting Terry on the line. 61% last year. Who had the season high 13 points. And he's up to 10. Well, tickets for the first ever Pac-12 Coast to Coast Challenge now on sale. Coming up December 19th. Basketball doubleheader at T-Mobile Arena. Stanford taking on Texas, currently number 5 in the nation. Chris Beard coming over from Texas Tech to UT. And the Arizona women taking on Texas. Terrific doubleheader in Vegas. Head over to Pac12.com/coast to coast. Get those tickets now. And since we fully appreciate everything about the women's program as well, speak about the depth of Pac-12 women's basketball. Arizona, going to the national title game, picked to finish 5th in the conference based on the coach's outlook.
Ooh.
Now you got teams like Stanford and Oregon who are amazingly deep. And it's taken away. And a player we have not had a chance to mention yet. Noel with the steal. We'll get into the details on the freshman from Seattle. You know that last name, Jalen, older brother, 2019 Pac-12 Player of the Year at UW. Now playing for Minnesota after being a round 2 pick. The T-Wolves watching Karl Anthony Towns make that unbelievable shot last night.
Yeah.
So the challenge for some of the young players will be getting minutes because of all of the experience that a player like Justin Kier has to offer. And we mentioned the importance of family, but it's more than just a buzzword when it comes to Justin. His mom, Keely, suffered a heart attack when he was just 7 years old. She's now paralyzed and cannot speak. And grandmother, Evelyn, plays a central role in his life. I know you had a chance to speak to Justin about that as Richards picks up the foul.
Yeah, really tough, incredible accident from his mom, and then Evelyn raised him. And, he talks about his mom and his grandmother. There's the tattoo of the eyes of his mom and Keely, which is his mom's name. Pretty cool thing right there. He talked, incredibly passionately about it. He said, they're my why. And, you think about how many people in business think about what their why is. But when you're talking about a personal thing like Kier, and you could not meet a more upbeat, grateful, just incredible guy. He walked up to me when I was at practice. I'd never met him, just came right over and introduced himself. He had no idea who I was. And I think the fans here are going to love him.
6 points now for Balla, looking comfortable at the line. 63%, small sample size for Gonzaga. But Justin, at the age of 23, a highly accomplished student, as we mentioned, already 2 degrees from Virginia. And his experience is going to be massively significant for Arizona this year as they've incorporated the transfers.
Look at Balla. Move his feet. Get out there.
That is fundamental play.
Yeah.
Play fast.
Play fast.
With fundamental soundness. It is Arizona in front. 78-45. They were on the cusp of increasing that lead. And there is the mobility of Balla. Yeah. He's got good footwork and nice court coverage. for 3.
Out of bounds, NAU.
Well, we had a chance briefly to talk about Shane Noel, and the other true freshman is Adama Ball, who's just 17 years old, from Le Mans, France. And the coaching staff very high on Ball, who has just checked in. Birthday coming up next month. There was some speculation that potentially could redshirt, although Tommy Lloyd said that was never his thought process. And he says Adama is one of the fastest learners he's ever met.
He has a tremendous ceiling in all parts of the game. You mentioned Noel. I think he has a really big ceiling, maybe one of their best defenders right now. You know, his offense will catch up to that defense. But these are two young players, two young wings. Hard to get in the lineup because of all that experience and depth, but they can absolutely play, both of them.
Noel keeps it moving. Aiken stays with it. Can't drop down the high percentage. Look, and he's smiling a little bit. Can't believe that bunny wouldn't go. As we close in on the 4-minute mark, and Arizona was tested by NAU early. But with about 10 minutes to go in the first half, everything changed.
Foul's called against Arizona's number 2, Adama Ball.
Ball picks up the foul. Ball could have stayed home in France and gone directly to the pros. Remember, he's only been on campus since August. First time he has come to the United States, and like many people, had the adventure of connecting through Atlanta. Welcome to the United States. Well, at least there's plenty of options. You can survey anything you like in a giant airport like that.
Well, I just looked up. The Arizona students section showed out tonight. They're there. I mean, they you know, it was a little bit late arriving, but they really filled the stands. Good for them.
Well, with the late tip time, it felt old school, right? Like a big Monday. Let's get going. Where's Steve Physiok when you need him? A 3-point look there for Ball. It wouldn't go. And crashing to the floor was Ballo. He's okay on a gorgeous night here in the Sonoran Desert, and the stars are shining for Arizona with less than 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, he has really been everywhere tonight. Both sides of the floor. That one, he sold it a bit. Let's call it like it is. But his shooting has been spot on. He's run the team. I love that rhythm he gets into off of that screen. And look at the 5 assists. And by the way, I'll just double check here. No turnovers as the point guard, throwing the 2 steals. I mean, that's a pretty. We could have picked any of those guys, and the teammates did really well. Tubelis was quietly really solid tonight, and then Terry, as I thought, Terry was really the key the first half. His emotion, his defense, and what he did to really run that team.
But to be fully transparent, if you're Arizona, given the head-to-head all time, they're on their way to a 35th consecutive victory over NAU from the Big Sky. This is the type of effort you're looking for on opening night, as without a lot of acclaim, Ballo's had a very solid game, up to 8 points, and more importantly, just from the eyeball test, I'm very impressed with how he moves.
And to your point you just made, like Pulp Fiction, let's not get too excited about patting everybody on the back.
Yeah, is that the quote? I think you helped us out there. It's a PG-13 night in Tucson. It's early.
But it's early, and you know, and NAU's a solid team, and I think there's a ton of things to take away from this game if you're Arizona that are positive, and they did what they should do, and they really ran it up, and Shane Burkar's team, though, still played solid. I mean, but Arizona is playing everybody. And I like what Tommy Lloyd did. He said the other night, I'm going to play everybody. I want guys to get in it. And if they don't get in, I'm going to talk to them. I'll communicate to them why they didn't get in. But I want them to have playing time. They've all been working hard. And he was pointing out that guys that are 8, 9, 10, 11 on the team, someone gets injured, they could be top 7. I mean, there's a lot. They're pretty close between the 10th guy and the 5th guy.
We were talking about the continued support from everybody here in Tucson, and we can continue our storytelling in a moment. Official attendance, 12,471 on a Tuesday night at 8:30 after the women got 6,100. I'm not good with math, but you can do the simple arithmetic. While we have the momentary pause, let us spotlight the Maines family, because Jordan is set to check in with brother Nick on the bench. We chatted with Jordan, the former manager, now reserve walk-on for Arizona, and he said head-to-head he's got the 2-0 advantage over his older brother, who's 3 years older than the junior for Arizona.
Yeah, and I was hoping they would guard each other right here. We're not going to see that right now, but pretty cool story when you have players that good. Of course, Jordan playing with Nico Mannion at Pinnacle, won a couple state titles there and had the opportunity to go play at NAU, but he just had a different path, chose to come to Arizona as a walk-on, wanted that big school experience, wanted to play at a big program like Arizona even as a walk-on. And I'll tell you what, I have seen him now last couple of years. He has really improved as a player. Although that was a tough bucket right there, even though
Ajana Guick, the sophomore from Glendale, born in Egypt, his first 2 of the night, but he earned that one. That was done with a degree of difficulty, but we'll talk more about the Maines family. Big night for mom and dad. Matt and Deb on hand. We heard that the extended family from Ohio, aunts and uncles were here, and what a wonderful opportunity to celebrate. Pretty cool. Your family at the highest level here at McKale Center with less than 2:45 to go. Now officially in stat time, and there'll be a loose ball.
There he goes. What's he going to do here?
And he gives it up unselfishly as he was hooking up with ball. Comes off to Noel. And working his way to the line, Maines gets fouled by Stark.
I thought he was actually going to drop that one backwards, maybe through the legs, like an old Jason Kidd pass into the left side. And like I said, he can play. That free throw looked pretty solid right there.
Well, we know that he's earned the opportunity by being a grinder in practice. You talked about what he and Nico Mannion did at Pinnacle High. He told us he had to get Nico's new phone number because Nico's taking his talents to Italy, playing over in the Euro League. But Jordan said, despite having D1 offers, he wanted the Arizona experience, even if that meant coming here as a student manager. You can see Noel picking up the foul as Arizona in the midst of that 10-2 run, putting the finishing touches on the victory. And I'm always amazed to meet these student athletes and just how mature and wonderfully well-spoken they are. Jordan was an impressive young man and really engaging in our conversation, and now going to be able to say to his older bro, it's 3-0 on the big scoreboard within our house.
Yeah, I'm with you, by the way, back to what you said, how impressive these young men are. I mean, just not obviously basketball, but there's a lot to them. All these guys have incredible stories. They've ended up at these different universities, and it's really fun getting to know them.
And you know these stories better than anybody. You called the exhibition, you called the blue and white game, so let's make sure in our remaining moments to highlight players on the floor, like the other 2 Bellis brothers. Kovilas now teeing things up.
I want to see Paul launch another 3 with that rainbow arc that he has. Go ahead.
Grant Whiteman into the game, sophomore walk-on from here in Tucson. Well, you asked for it. That is a high arcing shot. That is classic hoops.
I think, again, the ceiling on this young man is tremendous.
Now the Guick is fouled with 67 seconds to go. So this one, a convincing win for Arizona. Next up, it is Texas. Rio Grande Valley from the WAC. And Matt, I know you're already aware of this because you've done your game prep. They're the vaqueros, which are livestock herders on horsebacks, according to Mr. Dictionary. But looking ahead, the game against Wichita State in Vegas, potentially a matchup with number 6 Michigan. We know how Juwan Howard has transformed his alma mater in Ann Arbor. How about Hunter Dixon at 7'1", one of the best big men in the country? And we didn't have a chance to really amplify. Road trip to Illinois, by then Kofi Cockburn back from his suspension. And taking on number 18, Tennessee. Kenny Chandler, one of the best point guards in the nation. Crowd would have gone wild if Maines had canned that 3.
Yeah, that schedule you just read off, there's some games in there. There's going to be some big-time games.
And road tests.
Yeah.
And that's reflection of believing in your players and understanding that that's the best way to prepare for the gauntlet of the Pac-12 with arguably the best postseason we've seen in the history of this conference. And yes, people will talk about it was a different year with the bubble in Indiana. Noel picks up the foul. But when you have all those teams making the Sweet 16 and USC and Oregon State playing better than they did when Ralph Miller was the head coach and they were #1 in the nation, and UCLA a shot away from the championship game, it's a wonderful time to be a part of the Pac-12.
Hey, I played against Ralph Miller, and you covered him in college well. So
I once saw Ralph Miller thought that somebody gave him a nickel and dime call, and he threw a nickel on the court. Ralph was an intense dude.
Yeah, he was.
It's now story time with Uncle Matt and Brian Weber alongside. Arizona will pick up a victory for head coach Tommy Lloyd. We're efforting a conversation with the coach. I'm sure he'll defer to his players. Ball looking smooth in mid-flights. So the streak continues, although if you were with us from the outset, this game was competitive for the first 10 minutes. It'll be another lopsided victory for Arizona. 35 in a row now against NAU. All-time series, 101 Arizona, 27 NAU. Tommy Lloyd talking about playing fast with fundamentals. Born out tonight, victorious 81-52.
Now Tommy Lloyd gets his first win as a college coach, as a head coach. Obviously all those years as an assistant coach with Mark Few, did a terrific job. And I love his you know, he's just relaxed over there. I think he has a good feel for things, comfortable in his own skin. I think he's going to be happy with this one.
Well, credit the resolve of NAU. They were very fun to watch early in the game, and they matched Arizona point for point for about the first half of the first half, and then Arizona found their rhythm. They'll look to keep it going. Well, the Cats Friday here in Tucson on Pac-12 Network, taking on Texas, Rio Grande Valley, and we're pleased to be joined by Tommy Lloyd in a moment as we are efforting the conversation. There's the coach. Hey, Tommy, congratulations on the first victory. I know it's not about you. It's about the team, but what stood out to you tonight?
You know, our guys played with great spirit. I mean, the effort was good, and, you know, that's what we're trying to establish right now is just how hard we play and you know, and how aggressive we want to be. We got a lot of things we need to clean up, but, you know, these seasons are long journeys, and I'm happy to get this one behind us and get a good film to learn from.
You know, Coach, you mentioned the spirit. That was something I really was keyed on in the first half. Dalen Terry, I thought, was just incredible defense, and then the defense to offense really with the whole team. And that spirit led to unselfishness. I just saw the stat, 25 assists on 28 field goals. That is unbelievable. I'm not sure I've even heard that in a long time, so you got to be happy about that.
That is great. I thought the first half we did an amazing job taking care of the ball, and the second half I thought we let down a little bit. We just didn't finish shots, and so much of this game's about when you get an opportunity, taking advantage of it and cashing in and finishing.
Well, I want to divert a little bit from the basketball and let you know we were all over the Beastie Boys in the game tonight. We talked it up. We talked about your boombox back as a kid. Anything you want to add to that?
Well, hey, that one was for my boy Adam Yao right there. MCA
nice.
Sits dear to my heart, and I mean, I grew up with those guys, and I actually listened to them on the way in today.
Really? So
That's
now we
awesome.
have complete confluence here. And, Coach, I'm sure you said to your team, no sabotage tonight, right, against NAU?
When I mention Beastie Boys to our guys, they look at me like I'm crazy. They've never even heard of them.
Tommy, we appreciate the time. Congratulations on victory number 1.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
It's a convincing win for Tommy Lloyd in his head coaching debut. Arizona leading on Carissa with a game-high 17. Bellis chiming in with 13. Towns pacing the Lumberjacks with 11 in defeats. Next up for NAU, a trip to UW. And Arizona will take on Texas, Rio Grande Valley Friday here on Pac-12 Network. For Matt and our incredible hardworking production team, I'm Brian Weber. So long from Tucson, Arizona.
The first 100 years of Pac-12 men's basketball can be defined by numbers.
Miles Zender dominated this game from beginning to end.
40 Final Fours, 16 NCAA titles, 27 Hall of Famers, and now add the number 20 to that list.
Steve Kerr could get that one to go, but Elliott follows.
That is the number of hoops legends who have earned a spot on the most prestigious team in the history of the Conference of Champions.
Harold Miner is the show, 360 and all.
This is the